Hello, my loves. Welcome back. This is the story behind the story. I am Sierra Melcher, founder of Integral Women and Red Thread Publishing. We are all about supporting women to get their voices out, find their voice, share their story. And I can't think of a better example than Sarah Gretzinger. She's a total badass, awesome butt kicker. Sarah, introduce yourself. Who are you? How are you today? And thank you for being with us.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. Welcome. I am super excited to be here, Sierra, and to everyone who's listening to this. I definitely agree on the butt kicker, badass kind of thing. I have run a marketing agency for 10 years and transitioned it into this amazing community of entrepreneurs, 15,000 entrepreneurs around the world, connecting at networking events, and really just honed in on what are the fundamentals that business owners and coaches need, and just kind of come to pull it all together in this amazing series of books. And so I'm super excited to be talking about it today.
I love it. So you're our first launch, and we're celebrating your first of 4 books that's coming out in the next couple of months. And I love every author and every book is its own story in itself. And I wanted to focus on how you're using books to support your large community and grow your community so that all of those entrepreneurs can do their work better in the world. So talk to us about how you see books as tools and why you chose to take what you already teach in lots of ways and put it in book form.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you mentioned that, because for me, writing first started out as a healing process. And I've spent most of my life journaling, and I had written a previous book, and it was kind of the story about my life. And I found that to be like one kind of tool, because for me, that was very therapeutic. And quite frankly, I didn't really care what anybody thought of it. Like, I didn't care if anybody learned anything from it. That book was really all about me and my healing and my, piecing the map of my life together. But when I look at books that I pick up and read, they're nothing like the book that I wrote, the first book that I wrote. And so I really love these books that make me pause and challenge my mind in an entrepreneurial way, but also in the way that I choose to think about things. And so when I think about tools for business owners, I really love books, because books can be bite-sized chunks of information. You can read one sentence in a book and suddenly have the most magnificent idea or thought process or restructure or way of seeing yourself or way of seeing your client, your community, your marketing. Or you can read an entire chapter and suddenly be in this like complete, like me, I'm like putting Post-it notes all over the wall and all over the table, and I read something and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's how I piece it all together. So I love books because they can be bite-sized chunks of information, but there's something that's so easy to go back to. If I try to find a training online, if you go through my Facebook saved section of saved posts, there are thousands of them, and it's just kind of like, what's what here? But a book, I love that I can just grab it from my shelf, read it again, and I find a completely different story every time I do that. So it's really transitioned how I look at tools, because I know how I use them, and I've seen how other people have used books. There's people who fold the pages, who write within them, who write a note on them and pass them along to somebody else. I've seen books given as gifts at events because there's such a powerful message in there. I've seen people utilize them, like myself, to kind of take an entire lesson on a certain subject and put it all into one place where people can come and go back to it easy at a fraction of the cost, right? To spend time working with me costs a lot of money. And let's just be real. The ability for one human being to have 15,000 conversations in a week to support a community, it's just insanity to think that can happen. But 15,000 books, that's doable. And they can learn from it whatever they want. So it's why I've chosen to kind of add the book series into the coaching program and into the community that I support.
I love it. You've already touched on a couple of core themes. One being like the various ways that writing serves both the authors and the readers, and the multiple facets of the tools of the books. But also, I find a book really intimate, that when I'm reading a book, I'm having a relationship or a conversation with the author. And the way that you mentioned it, like, you can't, even though you're an amazing rock star on stage and you can talk to 1,000 people, where I'm like, 20, that's good. You have the capacity to talk to a whole ton of people. Even 15,000 people is pushing it. And a book, it's going to outlast you. Books last forever. I had an earlier podcast where we were talking about books can be iterations. Like, every book that you can write a year from now, you could just like put out a newer version that has the top things. It's a living and changing document, yet they also last a lot longer and can reach a lot more people on a very personal level. And so I love that you've done both sort of the personal healing writing journey and shared your story, and are also using the writing and publishing tool to serve your clients in the sense of business. Tell us about the book that's coming out this week, and the other three in the series, real quick, just so we know.
Yeah, so
I
I want to real quick touch on this because it goes into the book. And so you mentioned, like, I can write a book now, and in a year from now, essentially reformat it and republish it with new things. And this is why the writing process, it feels like it can take so long, because you write it and then you go back and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to add this really amazing thing, and I'm going to add this really, and it's just like, I don't know about other writers, but for me, it's like reading a book. The ideas just pour out of me. And so every time I've been rereading my own script to get the book ready to publish. So it's called Have It All. And it's part of a series called Quit Fucking Around. Forgive the language. Plug your ears. Replace it with any other word that feels good to you. I'm down for that. But, you know, it's why it couldn't just be one book. Because as I was writing and I was looking at the things that I teach and the lessons on marketing and money mindset, and how to challenge it, and how to really just show up for ourselves, not in the way of saying to people, like, get your money mindset right. Like, here are some tangible things. Let's sit down, let's do them. And today, right now, in this moment, after day one, lesson one, book one, you're going to see a result. And I really love that there's a continuation of the books. I'm sure it will not end with 4. I'm sure there's so much more I could have poured into them. And every book, every page of every book, it's really going to move you forward. It's not just, you know, it's practical tools. It's not just a mindset game. It's a mindset put in action. And I think that a lot of people are reading books nowadays and kind of going, what do I do with this now? Right. And there's so much information. So I worked really hard to say, like, okay, you read this, now go do that. Right. And then, then you're going to see the result, and then you're going to know why it's worth it.
Well, and I mean, you're branded as the no BS coach, and you and I are both educators at our core. We want to take everything that we've read and coalesce it and make it as straightforward and actionable as possible, because it's great to read a book that's all like, yay, this, that, but if there's no follow through or no actual tools, then it's actually left our readers, you know, disempowered rather than empowered. And
Yes.
You and I are both really about, like, here's what we've gathered, here's what you need to do next, go. Here's all the tools, go. And I think that's just super powerful, because it's
I love how, for me, writing is all about painting a picture in a person's mind. And so I feel like when I write, I'm talking to you, literally to you. And you'll see that in the book. It's like, hey, you go do this now. Like, no, not later, now. But it's also, here's the visual. And so it really allows people to get into it and visualize. So the new book comes out this week. Yeah, dance party. And then the following 3 books will come after that. So pre-orders are up for the second book. And Really great. I'm excited. I really appreciate all of your work on this, Sierra. I'm excited for people to dive into this first book, shift their money mindset, and not just shift the mindset, but actually do the 30 days of actions and say, wow, I have more money in the bank. Wow, I'm investing wisely. Wow, I see money in a different way. So many people are, in the mindset of, I have to have this much money to be wealthy. And if you ever hang around me and they say, find a penny, pick it up, some people will find the penny and flip it over so someone else can have good luck. And I'm like, hell no, I'm picking that penny up and I'm going to invest it and watch what I turn that 1 cent into. Like, this is my luck, damn it. And I really want people to experience how the simplicity of the small things really packed together create that big thing that seems so unimaginable at this point.
Well, and as a testament, I've done this work. Not only have I read the book several times and am in the process of formatting it as we speak, my brain is a little bit trickling out of my ears from the detail-oriented formatting. But I did this 30-day money mindset practice when it was just the course with Sarah, and it definitely it deserves more than 30 days because there's always something else, right? There's always another level. And the thing about books, and this book in particular, is it is compact. It is all this really, really high-end insight and guidance and support in an affordable space. So there's a lot of people in the world, and not everybody can afford to hire Sarah one-on-one, but you can get all that she's teaching her clients in this really useful package, so you can change your money mindset and then have more money. And if you want to hire Sarah, then you can hire Sarah then,
Yes.
or you can do whatever else it is that is really burning on your heart. And so this is why I love supporting women to write their books, because they're sharing their stories, whether they're their personal ones or their professional insights, and they can reach huge communities for really affordable prices. And I was a historian for a long time, so I'm still pretty old school, but I think books are just such treasures for all of these reasons, both what they allow the authors to do, the personal and professional growth and accelerant that does, but for all the people that books can reach. What's the last thing you want to tell our audience? Because we like to keep these quick and dirty.
Yeah, I think honestly, guys, when I think about authors supporting authors and business owners, as a whole, I think that using a story to teach your lesson, it's not just powerful from a way that you can say, hey, like, you can get this at a cheaper price. It's also really, really powerful to take all those lessons in your head and get them down in one space, because what this process has allowed me to do is to look at it and go, I can teach this in so many different ways to impact so many different people. And it actually gave me a lot of clarity into how this kind of one lesson in this one book is part of a grander landscape that entrepreneurs need. And so I get to touch them fully, wholeheartedly, with all my knowledge in one area. And I think it's really, really powerful for authors to realize that, or entrepreneurs to realize that, taking it into the authorship space and being able to utilize that tool where you can say, hey, here's a book, here's a workbook, sit down, do it, and then, go through this process. There's something really, really powerful about being able to take it from the mind, not just spit it out, but get it out on paper. I was always taught that if I want my goals to come true, write them down. And so when I'm physically writing my own book, teaching my own lesson, I'm reminded, like, hey, Sarah, am I doing these things? Am I teaching this way? Am I really showing up the way that I am? And as I was writing it, and as I've been reading it and reviewing it, and we've been going through this editing process, it's been a really great reminder for why I teach what I teach, how I want to show up and teach it, and who it's really impacting. So I just think on that authorship side of it, it's so important for entrepreneurs to be able to take it and not just share it on the web or share it on stage, but put pen to paper and get it somewhere where it's there for life. My favorite thing to do when I travel is to go to old bookstores and find old books. And I can't wait for the day, 100 years from now, when somebody picks up one of my books in a bookstore, opens it and smells it, and can utilize those lessons when I'm no longer here and when my content is no longer sitting on the internet and it's not the same, right? They'll have my actual words that I sat down and wrote with my thoughts, with my emotion, with my attention and my passion. And I think that's a huge gift that we can give to the world as entrepreneurs.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait. We don't have to wait to share your book with the world because it is.
Oh, you can order it now.
All of Sarah's info and the pre-order link for the Quit Fucking Around series will be in the show notes. Thank you, my love, for showing up, for sharing what you got, and for being with us.
Awesome. Thank you. I cannot wait to see everyone connect, grab the book, and remember, you can have it all.